Welcome to Indie Film Podcast. This week we have superstar guest Kody Newton, who travels the country as an indie film cinematographer.
Yes, I do.
And he also directs. On top of working hard on countless indie film sets, he hosts the annual Idaho Film Family Festival every spring.
And it doesn't stop there. Kody's also an actor, an editor, obviously director, and...
Writer.
Oh, you do write most
Producer.
of your scripts. You are definitely a producer too. And frankly, also has to do a lot of marketing, handles a lot of stunt work, creatively problem solves a lot of different stuff. You've scouted locations, you've gaffed, you've done everything under the sun. So thanks so much for being here, Kody.
Well, it's so great to be here. I've lived my life, so I don't have to depend on anyone else to do anything for me.
Have you ever
It just makes it that much cheaper.
Have you ever done a solo film? Just you?
Well, nobody can do a solo film. Well, I guess you guys kind of did, but I have to have actors in front of the camera.
Well, I mean,
so.
like act it yourself, run the camera yourself?
No,
No?
that's too boring for me. I've always had family around me. We're a big Mormon family, so I've always had nieces and nephews that I've wanted to shoot, and then that's kind of where I started. So.
Right on. So let's talk about big budget versus low budget. One of the things that kind of differentiates usually an indie film from a large budget film is the look. Right. Obviously, look and sound super important. That's something that people miss. You've been able to teach yourself. I think you taught yourself how to basically run camera and gaff, and you've gotten to the point where your productions can be put up with anything in the realm, of a large budget feature film. Right. Mm-hmm. So, what advantages do you think that an indie film has over a large budget Hollywood production? As far as, I'm sure you've worked on sets where you are cinematographer and gaffer versus sets now as you've gotten more and more work where you have probably a much larger camera department. Can you explain to some people out there that are just starting out what the advantages of the large set versus a small set are?
Well, I'm kind of a small set person.
Okay.
I just like it to be familiar. I like people to be friends afterwards, that type of stuff. On the larger sets, here's a couple of the problems. Everyone's trying to blame another department for their problems. And that happens between, they weren't told this, and it all comes down to communication because people aren't able to talk to that many people at one time.
Okay.
Whereas if you have a small set, it's like, hey, you have 5 people shooting your film. It's pretty easy to say, hey, we're gonna start here tomorrow at 8 a.m. We don't need a huge call sheet to be able to tell those people those things, Mm-hmm. So that takes out a lot of the time and effort. But the other big thing with large sets are the unions. The unions are a mess to deal with because most of your money, like SAG, if you ever done a SAG film, I mean, like 20% of your money goes to the union, and it's just like it will cripple an indie film like that. And even just the attitude of the people, all they can think of is, well, the workers, the union workers, is what does the set owe me, or what does the production owe me, versus on indie films, the smaller films, it's what can I do for the production. So those are the main things that I think that I've noticed between the large and the small.
Okay, that's good to know. And we should probably clarify this too. I met you 9 years ago here in the Boise film scene. We were just talking about this. You shot a film on your phone, and it was not an iPhone.
No.
And you've gone from that position to essentially now you are working professionally as a cinematographer for, I don't know what type of budget films you would call it. Definitely low, not micro, but low
it
going
seems
into
a lot
higher.
For us.
Yeah, exactly. Going from zero budget on your own productions to basically traveling around the country and shooting things, editing, all that stuff. So that's kind of what your history is very briefly. What did I miss there that you'd like to add?
I shoot about 6 movies for other people every year. And I'm trying to do one in every state.
Okay.
And that's going pretty well. I just got back from Pennsylvania and Ohio, where I shot 2 films out there. But I try and direct a movie of my own every year. And so that's going to be happening. And the good thing about working on so many sets is you learn so much from other people on their dime. So, whether or not I'm getting paid as much as I should be paid, no matter what, it's a great experience when I come out of it. And the budgets range from, I did one for $35,000. It was a $35,000 feature in 8 days to, we produced The Death of Snow White, which was a 20-day shoot and then $750,000.
Okay.
And that one got a theatrical release and is now streaming. But you can kind of see that's the range that I live in. I'd love to do the higher stuff, but then you start to run into why wouldn't I hire somewhere else?
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about so we're talking about wearing all the hats for this month, for the month of August on Indie Film Podcast. And you have obviously worn a lot of hats, and you have gone down one specific path, I would imagine, working with other people, because that has allowed you to essentially stop other work and work as a cinematographer mostly?
Yeah,
Is
most
that
of the
fair?
time it's DP, yeah.
Okay, and then also you do a lot of editing as well, correct?
I do. Only for myself. I kind of made that problem because I can never charge as much as I need to get paid to edit because it just takes so much time.
Yeah.
And then there's so much feedback, and then it's just over and over again. So I've limited that a little bit unless I'm in a real bind for money. But most of the time I'm just cinematographer because that is where I can have the most impact into the movie. And secret be told, most of the time these movies star the director. And so when the director is acting, I can step in and direct for them.
Okay.
Oh.
And so that's really a big plus to me being on set with them is I shoot for the edit, but I also can help direct them when they're in it.
So then, sorry, I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah.
Specifically, you mentioned you want to direct one of your own films every single year. So do you go looking for a DP, or do you handle both? Do you like to do both at the same time?
It's a little hard, right? Because we are talking about hats. And if I have to manage what the DP is doing and how they're doing it, then why don't I just DP it?
Yeah.
It just that just makes more sense to me, because then I don't have to. Then I just have to communicate, hey, put these lights here, and I'm going to go for the shot, instead of me saying, hey, try and get this shot that I'm envisioning in my head. And so a lot of times it's faster. So
Okay.
here's one of the examples. In 2023 summer, we shot 259, my latest feature film, and it was a story actually based on the story of my DP. His name's Ryan, and he dealt with a possession in his apartment complex in 2009 or something like that.
And when you say possession, you mean demonic
possession.
Satanic, something entity?
Yeah.
Oh.
Something was possessing his neighbor, and he was trying to help him. And there's just so many stories. So the first half of 259 actually is Ryan's story. And so I knew, hey, Ryan's going to DP this movie for me because it is his story. I wrote it, and I put in my own characters, and so we made it our own thing. But he had to DP it. And the first half of the movie we shot in Boise. And it was not the easiest thing to figure out what the shots were because I had to try and do it through other people. Hey, somebody else is holding the camera, so what's the shot going to be here exactly? I don't know. Figure it out or try and feel out what it is. Where normally, when I'm holding the camera, I can find it because I know what my limitations are on lighting, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the first half of the movie, I didn't have the camera in my hand. I just watched from Video Village. And it just didn't work quite right for me. I think it was good, but it wasn't like, oh, this moment needs to be felt this way with this push in. We never got those moments. But then the second half, we went up to Seattle to shoot a bunch of exteriors and adventure things. And it's the second half of the movie. But I became A-cam.
Okay.
Ryan was DP, but I would just A-camera operate, and he would B-camera operate. And it went so much better because
Nice.
I knew, this line of dialogue right here needs this little push in. Instead of having to go back and go get it, I just knew instinctively how to get the shots. And it wasn't, sometimes we don't know how to communicate what we want or even know what we want.
True.
But that is how I figured it out. And so even sometimes if I'm talking to somebody who wears a lot of hats, but I want a DP for them, I tell them, hey, I want a DP for you, and I don't have to hold the camera. You can hold the camera because I know that's how you did it. There was two recently I worked with. Tabor Johnson recently, he did a movie called Bigfoot Falls, and I was DP on it, but he operated the camera. because that's kind of how he directed. He directed with the camera in a sense.
Okay.
And so I did sound. And so it was a
nice.
little weird to be DP because I'd set up all the lights and I knew kind of the shots he was getting. And I set up the camera and lenses, but I just let him shoot it.
But that way the director sort of, without having to communicate to their actors, like, hey, can you lean in a little bit?
Yep.
Where they can just be there and lean in where they want it.
And even just having to communicate through me as a camera operator. Hey, try this thing. And no, he can just do it.
Nice.
And it just made it go that much smoother. So in some ways, if you do wear a lot of hats, if you do it right, it can keep you going quicker. It can get your vision a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it can also be done in the wrong way.
Yeah, I suppose that's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
So, having been on those larger sets, is there anything that you could say was an immediate advantage? Because you do come from a background of, I'm just going to make a film. I'm going to attack it with whatever I have available to me, whether it be an iPhone or a really expensive cinema camera, right? Or excuse me, not an iPhone, an LG phone, or a really expensive cinema camera. So you come from that background, but having also worked on the larger sets, what are some of the advantages that you do see, like if the communication is removed from that situation, and say you do have a DP an AD that can communicate things to everybody succinctly?
Yeah, that's the secret, is having that line of communication that just works well. Specifically, there was one in Mississippi that I shot last year called Tempest, and we had a great AD. I believe it was the AD from Get Out, I want to say.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And, we had a focus puller that was like, he ran down to shoot the second, I forget what movie that is. It's the documentary about the Stonehenge guitar playing. Shoot, I can't think of the name of the...
Stonehenge guitar playing.
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap 2, yeah. He had to run down to Spinal Tap and shoot
I
Spinal
knew
Tap 2 and stuff
Stonehenge guitar playing.
like that.
How did
I could
you...
not think
It's
about
the
that.
best joke in the movie. That's why.
It is pretty great.
Okay. All right.
So, we had a great team, but the communication was there, and they knew how to communicate. And that's where it really does come through, because you get the quality of the larger groups without sacrificing some of the time and stuff like that. It's just like, boom, they hit cut, and everyone knows exactly where to go and how to do it. But that one specifically had the drama of the unions, where they had union people, and they said, in our contract, we didn't know we were going to be working an extra day. And then we had like a full-on meeting on whether or not we were going to shoot 5 days or 6 days a week. And I was like, oh, man, this is pretty heavy stuff.
A lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah. But when it's done right, you want your sets to be run like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want
Regardless
it to be
of how
run
many
like the
people-
large groups.
yeah. Okay.
Another good example is when you have a script come out and you have a rewrite, the script changes colors. So you know where you're at, in the updates of the scripts, instead of going, hey, what script is this? This is July 2nd. Well, we're on July 31st. They have different colors, so
nice.
which
Is
ones
it-
are going to be which.
I have never been on I've done one set where I was on a commercial shoot with a whole bunch of people, but I've never worked on narrative film where it was a very large set. So how did that work? Was it the colors of the rainbow went from blue to red, meaning that like red is like, we can't do any more drafts?
I don't remember
Shades of red.
I don't remember the colors. I know I saw a list one time.
There's like a blue revision and then a pink revision, and then like you have they're usually
There's an
softer
order.
colors because like at one point, to my knowledge and my understanding, they actually printed them on those colors of paper, so it had to be a soft enough color that you could still read the print on it. At least the copy of the Lethal Weapon 4 script that I had was in line with all of that too.
So everybody needed to have the same color. Otherwise, if
you
you looked
didn't
around
have-
and you were the buffoon holding like one sheet of paper
You're
that was a
holding
different
blue,
color,
and everyone's
you're like, you need to be updated.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
And then are they colorblind friendly too? That would be an issue.
I hope that nowadays they would be, but I actually don't know if they actually put them on the colored paper anymore.
Yeah,
I
that's
think it just
good.
says blue or pink revision on
You
them.
want to
Yeah.
eliminate communication as much as possible to keep things efficient.
Well,
So
everyone
everybody's-
has their script digitally now.
That's true.
Nobody prints them out
Yeah.
anymore.
You have to put a different case on your iPad.
That's right.
When you've downloaded the updated script, you need to put a blue case on the back of your iPad so we all know that you're reading from the correct version.
That would
I
actually be
suppose
really
if it's
smart.
a Google Doc and like you're the only one like on the document, and
That
you can
might
only see
tell
your name,
you.
you might be like, oh, okay.
That might tell you.
Unless there's no Wi-Fi or 5G in the place. All right, we totally got sidetracked, Cody. But so you were
Okay.
saying
We're
it's
right on top.
yeah.
Topic.
So scripts, working on a large set, obviously there are huge advantages to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I've been on enough sets to just learn what I want to do on mine. I mean, when I say, "Oh, I taught myself," no, I mean I learned from the mistakes of other people and of myself.
Yeah.
As we went. But when I started 9 years ago, I tried to be on every set I could. And you guys were on some of my sets. We made a film together. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And we learned lots of stuff. We shot in that 6 hours.
Yep.
3-camera shoot.
Yep. Super fast.
Dang.
Yeah.
And it's stupid and it's funny and I like it.
Wait, that's the house party with the talking
Yep.
thing.
2 Truths and a Lie.
It's called Truths.
That's it.
Truths. That's right.
it.
Yep. That was fun. It was. And
That one is cute.
That is one of those things. Yeah, it's good to get out there and be on a lot of sets. I guess when I say self-taught, that's a incorrect way of saying rather than having gone to film school.
Right.
Sometimes it's good to just go out and do things. Although film school, I'm sure they teach you a lot of valuable information. I wouldn't know. I've never been.
Apparently, they don't teach you anything about the marketing or business side of film, though.
Oh, that's going to lead into a question that I was just about to ask. Kody, how do you balance efforts between roles you enjoy and roles that you hate?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, first of all, self-motivation is very important because I am an entrepreneur. In general, I have to think of myself as an entrepreneur first and not a filmmaker first because I have to make the money. I have to pay the bills. And so that's why you're going to see me on all the socials, marketing myself the certain way I do because I have to be able to get the jobs. So balancing some of that stuff is a little bit hard because, first of all, you don't know what you're doing, right? You have to say, I mean, when I started out, it was like, hey, you want to be PA? Sure, I'll be a PA.
Yeah.
But then, and here's the funny one, I went to work on The Chosen, the TV show, and they said, hey, we need an accounting clerk. And I was like, what? Sure, I could do that.
Hey.
I have my MBA, so I'm like, look at my IMDb, but I also have my MBA. I'm sure that I could do your accounting
How hard can this be for a master's in business administration?
It's just spreadsheets and scanning in things. But you know what? I worked on that show for 40 days. And I learned so much in that production office because I was right next to the producers, the director and the accountants.
Okay.
And I got to see everything that came in. I got to see everything that went out, how much they paid for everything on it.
Oh.
And that really shaped how I looked at all of my things and what even the possibilities of what I could do. Because that's a $10 million show.
Yeah.
And they're just doing it on Kickstarter. I know that's what they raise on Kickstarter. I know they have extra people. But even just taking that and saying, well, I can implement that into my accounting or my budgeting or whatnot, or even just how I sell myself as a cinematographer, just seeing what that cinematographer made and how he made his money.
Okay, but wait, what was the number one most surprising budget thing that you saw?
It was art department. Well, because it's a period piece. I mean, it's set in Jerusalem.
Oh, then
so
yeah.
Art department just trumped everything.
That makes sense.
That's very fair.
I've seen a couple episodes. It's streaming on Amazon, I want to say, and that's just the elongated story of Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much everywhere. It was on Netflix and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks legit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive. Okay. All right. That's fair. Art department does deserve a good budget. Okay.
So, in general, you're going to face things you don't know how to do. And those things will demotivate you as fast as anything, right? Because we live in the YouTube generation where it's like, yeah, I need to do this. Let me fix it by looking on YouTube. And if you don't have an answer on there, or even if it takes longer than 15 minutes to find, you're going to go, oh, there's no answer.
Yeah.
How do I do this? And so, I mean, marketing yourself and marketing your movie is something that, well, number one, it's adapting. Like, who knows what it's going to be in a year?
Yeah.
You don't know what movies are going to be in a year and what they're worth.
Especially with AI. It's getting wild.
Jeez. I actually think that'll boost us a little bit. But if we make real content.
Yeah.
Oh,
the stories, indie film, I feel like story is number one no matter what you do. Like,
I'm talking about people using AI as a bigger search tool than most social or search engine algorithms now. So
that is true.
But as soon as they allow advertising on AI platforms, it's going to get real weird.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah,
That's phase
gonna
two.
that's gonna be messed up.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Well, how do I light this scene? First, you need to buy a Sony FX9.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then you won't have to light it.
It's just your equipment. You don't have enough equipment.
So
You can't go to the hardware store and pick up a light. You need to buy this aperture, whatever, for your.
I'm already targeted like that already.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So, in all fairness, I should say, I wanted to say that I have to motivate myself. There's no discipline that's going to keep you going when you don't want to do it. It has to just be you wanting to get it done. And so I self-motivate in a couple ways. And I hopefully people can find their ways that they do it, because I can't just say, I finished a movie, pat myself on the back, and that's it. No, I've actually...
Methamphetamine.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
No, I'm a cocaine guy.
Okay, good. That's pricey, man. You must be getting some pretty
got some
high-paying
friends.
cinematography gigs.
Entrepreneurial work.
It's film. So.
That's true.
But
It's just there.
It's already
this
on
might
set.
sound a little bit weird, but I actually reward myself by buying myself Jordans. Like
Okay.
for every film that I'm done filming, or mine are the bigger Jordans, but I buy myself Jordans so that I have that actual tangible thing that rewards myself for doing it.
This is your little treat, your little dopamine kick.
That's it.
Nice.
Oh, then it connects that pair of shoes is connected directly to the project that you made then
Yep.
too. Oh, that's kind of cool.
And I
Do you
I had to
shop
learn
for
this the
them
hard way.
before?
I do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I get them on sale and stuff like that. But then I
Okay.
have them locked up, I guess, in
Okay.
my shelf. And then when I unlock them as I finish projects.
That's a true entrepreneurial spirit right there. Is like
Yeah.
you're going to buy that on sale. You're going to make a decision, buy it on sale for the correct price, so
Yeah.
that you're not punishing your future self when they're not on sale and
right.
then leaving them locked up.
Be stuck with $250 pair of Jordans.
That's cool. I like that idea because usually I buy myself like microphones or like equipment, but then the issue with that is that it's still connected to the thing that I'm doing. This is completely
Yeah, it's not like a reward.
outside. Yeah, this is totally outside of what you do normally.
You guys treat yourself to something
Yeah,
when you're
Yes.
it's
done?
important.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I've turned this into, I actually treat the director and usually the person who hires me to a pair of Jordans also. So
Aw.
it just becomes a cool thank you that costs, you can usually get them for like $75.
Okay,
Okay.
but
On Nike.
brilliant way to keep you and your work on
That's
the
why I
mind
get
of directors. That's brilliant. I was going to ask, what does the networking process look like?
Yep.
It looks like buying them shoes.
It does.
Brilliant.
And a lot of them have never had Jordans before. So
NBA
Brilliant.
kicking in.
There it is.
Salesmanship from
There
the
it
past. I dig it. So do you have anything else that you use to help yourself keep yourself motivated?
checklists. I have to
Okay.
have my checklist because when I wake up in the morning, I could literally do nothing and I'd be happy with it, and that's fine. But if I'm trying to make my dreams come true, that's not going to cut it. So I have to have small actionable items that I am checking off.
Physically or digitally?
I do it digitally just because I lose those so quickly. But it's I usually just send my instant messenger, not instant messenger, but Facebook Messenger.
Wow.
I know, that's a long
Dating
time ago.
yourself back there a little bit, Kody.
And I actually delete it and then or unsend it and then delete it, and I think that's the dopamine hit.
Okay,
I
that's
like.
smart.
I dig that.
Because
Also, I do like that one if I am way behind.
I know I like the paperless because I like that feeling of actually checking it off,
Yeah.
and I like
Google
trying
Keep
to
for me.
draw really perfect squares first, but they never look right.
Google Keep, if you do a list, it checks it off.
I have that for my
Okay.
list of movies that I'm supposed to watch,
Oh, yeah,
and
the
now
queue.
TV shows that I'm supposed to watch, and all these things. Yeah.
Always, you can never get ahead on those. It just only gets longer. Those lists
I've-
only ever get longer when you work with filmmakers.
Fair, but I've been making a dent in it. I think I started keeping the list 3 years ago, 3.5, and I've checked off 20-something movies from it now.
Okay.
So I'm getting through them.
Hey.
The list is definitely longer. It's grown by more than
Yeah,
20, but
exactly.
I'm at least working my way through them.
Yeah.
And I like that Google keeps the list at the bottom, so they get checked off, and you have that
You
list.
can have evidence.
I feel accomplished.
This is what I've actually done on this. It doesn't just disappear.
Yes.
One thing I want to talk about, Kody, like a couple connected questions here, because I do remember this would have been, I think it was the previous podcast that we had, Treasure Valley podcast, you were interviewing. We went out to lunch, and you were just transitioning to doing film full time, not your own films, but like basically working on films, mostly narrative, I think, at this juncture, correct?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, so like you had done weddings, or I don't remember where you were in this step of videography to cinematography, but can you talk about a little bit when you knew that transition was imminent, and then how you balance out other people's work with your work, which obviously you mentioned you want to make sure you do one of your own films every year along with 6 other people, so that's good, but maybe you can go into a little bit of detail on that, as well as what you think about like moving from doing other work unrelated to film to just like diving in full time.
Yeah, essentially it was the transition from videographer to actual cinematographer.
Okay.
That was the big one, because when I started, I just said, hey, I'm just going to make this work no matter what.
Okay.
Because the goal is 3 things: support my family, make movies, and travel the world. If I can do all those things, ideally with my family included, that would be a lot of fun. But that was the goal from the get-go. If I can't make those things happen, then I got to go find something else. So videography was very important into that, early stuff, just because I needed to be paid by people who had money. And so I got connected with some businesses and did stuff for them and whatnot. And so that paid for a lot of things. The weddings is another thing. Real estate was another thing. And so I felt like I had transitioned by then. Since 2017, I've been doing this full time.
Okay.
And it does help that I just had been networking and branding myself online so much that people knew that I was of value. Plus, as a tax write-off, I was buying all kinds of stuff. I was buying lights, I was buying whatever I needed to do, so I wasn't paying so much in taxes, and then I could carry that over into making myself worth more, because now I have a trailer that's full of stuff. I mean, I probably have $100,000 worth of stuff that I bring with me to these places, and I don't charge them an arm and a leg to be able to use it, because I just want the best product that we can get. And I think that's why I'm hired over and over again. But what it was is I started to make movies with a group in Seattle, with Jason Brooks and Sean Lutzes, who did The Death of Snow White. And that was like our 7th movie together. And once we started making movies together, there were just connections that we were making that helped people want to work with me again. And not only was it what I was bringing to the table, but it was my attitude and my ability to just listen to the film, listen to the soul of the film, and see what it needed without, having to really work at it. So once that started to happen, people took notice. They saw my reel. They saw the movies we were putting out, and they wanted to hire me. And essentially, that is what happened. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we released a Jason fan film.
Oh, I remember that.
Vengeance 2 Bloodlines. And it just, people loved it. And it looked great. And, little did people know that I directed half of that film. Most of the time I was directing because Jason was acting as Jason. The director was acting. So once I wanted to be the person, and this was very important to me, I wanted to be the person that people couldn't see themselves without on their next set,
Yeah.
Whether it be my attitude, whether it be my work ethic, or whether it be how I do things. Like I don't know some of the bigger things. I don't know exactly how other DPs do it, but for me, there's a few things, and here's a few tips as a cinematographer. When I shoot, I communicate very clearly. I get great shots. Everything is on the table. If you want to try and get it, I'll try and do it, no matter what. There's always a way to do it now.
It's very brave of you.
It is very brave. But after you shoot, there's kind of a wind down period where people, they go back and they talk about the day and whatnot. When my wind down is DIT. I go and I just make sure all the footage is there. I check it over. I look it over. It doesn't take me that long, but I actually create dailies. And so we have dailies in our pocket the next day. And so not only am I DP, but I'm DIT also.
Yeah.
And then technically I'm a script supervisor too, because I can see, in this last scene we were like right to left. so this one needs to be right, left to right.
Yeah.
Because it was a phone conversation, and this person we're shooting on a different day. It just helps so much. And then I take a screenshot of every setup so that I know, oh, it's lit this way. This is how it looks. And so it's so easy to just pull up the phone real quick and do that. And it only takes me a few hours at the end of the night. And I like the wind down with the actual footage itself. And so it's
nice.
just little things like that just, I mean, if you think about it, you have to have a DP. Well, I'm also a gaffer. So they would have to hire a gaffer. They would have to hire a DIT, and then they have to have an assistant editor. I mean, I'm syncing the audio also.
Oh, that's a lot.
It's so easy to have it that way.
A relaxing evening for you
It's
is
just a
syncing
relaxing
everything
evening,
up. And
because I have to download it anyway.
oh, fair.
But I'm taking the place of 5 people in my day rate, and it just, those things are the invaluable things that people wanted on their next set. And so now they're calling me whenever they need a DP.
That's nice.
It might also be the shoes, though.
That definitely helps.
Or it's the Air Jordans, and you've just been doing all this extra work, and you just could have just spent $75 on another pair of shoes. And they're like, hire this guy.
No, as someone who has worked with you before, I would definitely say it's a beautiful combo of your work ethic and attitude on set as a whole, and well, frankly, your work is beautiful. Like your shots look good. So,
the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
It definitely is there. And the other thing is, normally with those dailies, I put them on display. I put the laptop out where people are having lunch or in the green room or whatever, so people can see what it is we're creating and get really excited about it, and then want to step their thumbs up. Even some of the actors, sometimes they'll see, oh, that's how that played out, or that's how that looks. Let me, they think about just those types of things. For some reason, it just improves the overall spirit of the set itself.
Well, you want the person that's taking the picture to be taking lead in a lot of situations because it's film. That's the point.
It is it.
That's the spearhead, is the thing that's on the frame.
But I also feel like being able to show people all this work, all this time, all this energy and effort, look, it's already paying off. Here you go.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool and like, weirdly inspiring in a way. If that was just set out in the green room area for everybody to see, that would be really inspiring. Be like, oh, cool. Look at us do stuff.
Yeah.
It's coming together.
What we're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
a lot
it
of
helps
times
for me to get rehired, especially after the Jordans. But they go, oh, hey, when they go back to their home, they're like, hey, I'm going to make a movie. I want Kody with me because, oh, look what he does. I already know. Because half the time they're recording it with their phone, just off the laptop, and they're already impressed with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that helps.
Cool. Well, before we
instant gratification is nice.
It is. It's
People
important.
respond well to that.
And it's important in film too. That's what I was going to mention. Is a lot of times you forget about that. It's good to have those little pleasant reminders that you are getting something done, because from the time that you start the script writing to the time that the film's done can be very long.
Yeah.
Very arduous. So
Well, yeah, for 259, you said that you shot that in 2023.
Yep.
And
It's coming out in September.
so it'll be out soon.
Yeah.
Which is
Nice.
awesome. But that's a time in between it. So having those little bits to be able to say, well, no, look. Or well, I guess you had like the poster come out, and you've had those little dopamine hits in addition to throughout the way. But
plus you keep 7 things rolling all the time, so that must help.
Yeah, that helps. Well, and it would have been out sooner, but The Death of Snow White came out before it, and we wanted to kind of piggyback off of The Death of Snow White's success.
because if you haven't seen The Death of Snow White, it is streaming on pretty much every streaming platform, I believe.
Yep.
And it is amazing. It is a really fun, just
Gory version of the story of Snow White,
but
which needed to be told.
done well with like you have real little people actors involved. You have this castle that you built for the set. You have all these indie filmmakers coming together in the Pacific Northwest to create this beautiful, gory, tragic, twisted, psychotic evil queen story. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely check that out. And Kody, I was going to say, as we were talking, I was reminded that I have watched quite a few of your films on streaming services. So obviously, I don't think you're going to have any issues getting some awesome distribution for $2.59 once that comes out. Snow White came out recently, and is there other films that are streaming online that you're super proud of that you think people should check out?
Well, there's a few that I've DP'd, right? And I should say, this is a $150,000 film. I should probably say that before you go and watch them, just because that gives a little context of what it looks like. But A Hard Place is one of them that is just a crazy creature feature. But in September, there's another one called The Boy from Below.
Okay.
That I shot in Ohio last year. But that one is a lot of fun. It's like a 90s slasher film. Like
nice.
I Know What We Did Last Summer or something like that. So that one's a lot of fun. But Tempest, I don't know when that one's coming out. That one's one I shot in Mississippi.
Right on.
Okay.
But that's a good film.
Beautiful.
Man.
Nice.
Sweet.
Well, hey, this is inspiring because, hey, everybody out there, you can do it. It's a lot of work, but if you want to do film and you want to make the film pay the bills, it's possible.
You can.
And if you did it in Boise, like
Kuna
technically, which is outside of Boise, then anybody can do it anywhere.
Yep.
So.
And you can too.
And you can too.
So not only is he talented, he's inspiring. Thank you, Kody.
That talent's been developed, though. This is craft, people. When I shot my first feature film, I didn't even know what aperture was. I didn't know the triangle of exposure. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I knew storytelling.
You learn by doing, and then you find out that you're like, why does this not look right? Or why does this not sound right? It's like, oh, I messed this, and this up. And then next time you apply it.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, on that note, shall we have a succinct farewell?
Sounds good.
Excellent. Bye.
Bye.